And welcome. So we're here today. We have Pastor April with us again today. We're going to talk about boundaries. Thank you to those that put on the Facebook page things that you'd like to talk about. Today we chose boundaries, which is actually super huge. And I think maybe we will scratch the surface. And so maybe it'll be a two-parter or something, because when you start digging into it, it's actually a lot. There's all different kinds of boundaries and stuff. And here we go with our coughing. For some reason, every time we sit in front of the microphone, we get
all phlegmy.
Yeah, we start coughing and everything's all crazy. So, not today, Satan. So, I guess we probably could start with boundaries. Like, I don't know. I don't know if there's a good starting point. I heard this morning in a sermon, so this is where I'll start. God established boundaries in creation. He separated night from day. He separated the earth from the water. So in the very first book, in the very first chapter of the Word, which is life, God created boundaries. So boundaries are definitely a necessity in life. Getting to boundaries or putting them in place is kind of hard. And it's interesting to me that once I started reading about boundaries, I was like, man, I don't have very many boundaries. And the reason I don't is because I want to please everybody.
Yeah, I don't have boundaries either. I'm a yes man. If you ask me anything, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Right. But then complaint, I'm not calling you out specifically, but this is what I do. Yeah, I'll do it. And then when I'm doing it or whatever, I'm like, I don't got time for this. Why did I do this? Yeah. Instead of just being like, you know what? No. So, yeah, boundaries are something I think we have to learn. I don't think they're just naturally in place. Some people are probably really good at boundaries, and I am not one of those people.
Nor I.
This is really good to know as a pastor, because now that I know that about you guys, I'm going to hesitate to ask you, and then I'm going to actually look at you and be like, honestly, can you do it? Because when people say yes, you assume it's yes, and then you move on about your business.
Yeah.
And it is not refreshing, but like a couple weeks ago when we were supposed to get together with Kathy, you and her, and you're like, you know what, I can't do it. I really need to spend time with the Lord, so I'm going to set out on this one. To me, that was a boundary, but it was one that showed us that was a great example of putting the Lord before our plans. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So boundaries aren't just for you, but they can. And then that showed me like, okay, I can ask her, but now knowing that I can't.
No, you can, and I think it's interesting how God works and how he timelines everything for you. So at a point in life where we're feeling overwhelmed, we're feeling, we're seeing so much, God doing so much, and we're excited about it, and we want to do more, and we want to be more, and we want to, we just want to jump and dive into it. Boundaries couldn't come at a better time.
Purpose, yeah.
He's so purposeful in everything he does, and that, if you ask us to do something genuinely from our heart, we want to do it. And learning that even though you want to do it and you can see the value in it, doesn't mean that you have to do it. Mm-hmm. So, and even in personal relationships and marriages, husband and wife, Corey and I we never have any Dawn and Corey time very often. We put ourselves last. We take care of everything else first because we love each other and we know it's fine, right? But the reality is it's not fine. It's not okay to do that. We have to put boundaries in place so that we can honor our marriage and each other by taking the time to spend time together. Whether that's we have 1 hour per day that we get Dawn and Corey time, what are we doing during that hour? Do we have, are we on our phones? Are we talking about all the things we got to do? Are we doing whatever? When we talked about it the other day, I was like, we need to sit down and dive into our finances and create a God-centered plan, because we've never done that. Well, when do we have time to do that?
We still haven't done it.
We still haven't done it. But by we have to create boundaries so that because it's necessary for our life. And what good are we to other people? I wrote some notes. This is what it says, that boundaries are so that we can love others well without losing who we are. And that really stuck out to me, because how much can we, if we're not loving ourselves enough to set boundaries and give ourselves the time that we need with God, the time that we need with our family, with our husbands, then how well can we love anybody else? Because we're not fulfilled in all the other aspects of our life.
Right.
But
And that's the reality of it too. When you were talking about whatever you have left at the end of the day is what you give Corey, or you see each other in personal experience is, and I've seen it in other people's lives too. We do that with the Lord too. So we do our daily task, we do our list, we meet other people's needs. And then at the end of the day, if I have, a half hour with Chris, I have a half hour with Chris. If I have 2 minutes my word, then I have 2 minutes my word. This is what I have left.
yeah,
I know God's going to be there. I know my marriage is going to be there. But that's the exact opposite of how we're created to live.
yeah,
Setting boundaries and setting priorities is literally life or death.
yeah,
And it should be flip-flop from what we actually do.
yeah,
Placing boundaries around our time with the Lord is non-negotiable. And my life has completely changed since I've done that. In time, setting time aside with your marriage, which should be number 2, God above it. And then your marriage, God's love overflows into your marriage. And then that marriage and combined unity will overflow into everything else that you do.
yeah.
And we put everything else flippy-flop.
Yeah.
It's backwards.
It is.
Well, it's a trick from the enemy to keep us, that's the conversation that we had. Like, we need to sit down and do this. Why don't we make time for this? Why don't we make this a priority? Oh, because once we do that, then we're stronger and we're more stable, and we've got this heavy foundation, and the enemy doesn't want that. He likes it easy. He's lazy. He doesn't want to do the hard things, And if we're committed to boundaries, and we're committed to, like you said, these things are non-negotiable with my father, and then I'm with my husband. Those two things he can't tap into, because we've created that boundary. Everything else is willy-nilly crazy, but it's in lives that we all live now.
It's difficult. Like lately I've been not doing my devotional because I've been so busy, and when I'm not busy, I'm doing other things. So I'm like, well, the devotional will be there later, but now I'm 5 days behind on a 5-day devotional.
Right.
So like, when am I going to get to it? I don't know.
Right.
When really I should be putting up this boundary and like, no, this is going to have to wait. I've got something to do.
Yeah.
And the reality is nobody else can or will put those boundaries up for us. There's
Yeah.
not another single person in the world that can do it for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. It's hard though to be one way for so long and be the yes man, and to not be
Yeah.
all of a sudden to say no, like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
And then once you do, though, and once you start doing that, you'll see, oh, they survived. Okay, I survived and they survived. It's okay.
Yeah.
And if they don't love you when you say no, then maybe you need space in that situation anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, when I watched that, video, or the sermon, it was Lisa Turkers, and she said that when you come from a place of, I don't want to let somebody down, I don't want to hurt their feelings, that your answer reveals your heart. So while my heart says yes, my time says no. So you're letting them know that this isn't personal towards you. This isn't because I don't want to. This is just because I don't have the capacity to do it. And then, you know, their reaction is clearly that's on them. You know, it's not on us. And we can't, and we do that. We take on everybody else's feelings. Like even, you know, friendships, marriages, people, I work in customer service. When a customer comes to my counter and they're mad about something, I take on those feelings and I feel personally invested in what they're feeling. So what I have to do is, and I probably have done it, I have to create a boundary so that while I can care about their feelings, while I can try to make things right for them, I'm not placing my worth or my who I am based on what they're feeling, even if they're right, you know. But that's a boundary that I've put in place. But 16 years I've been doing this, so I'm sure from day one it wasn't like that.
Right,
You know,
you've learned.
I've learned that what I'm taking home and what I'm not, and it's not going to be this guy got red sauce on his beef and cheddar. That's not going to be it. That's not going to be the day ruiner for me.
Oh, I like extra red sauce. Let's be real.
Yeah, the sweet part.
What we're talking about, I have had years and years of counseling of people pleasing, of not having boundaries. But the reality in my case is that I do want to people please. I don't like saying no. I don't like letting people down. But what I've learned is that is my way of controlling situations, is that I want everyone to like me. I want everyone to get along. I want everyone to be happy. So let me take control of the situation and try to do that. We're not God.
Yes.
And that's not what we've been called to do. And you can't make me feel a certain way. When I have boundaries, I don't give you the right to make me feel a certain way, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can love you well, but set my boundaries. I can listen to you and I can hear what you're saying, but I'm not going to give you that space to make me feel
Yes.
a certain way. Like
Yeah.
you're saying that the gentleman with the beef story. Like,
Yeah.
I can empathize with you, but I'm not going to open my door to feel
Yeah.
guilt and shame and condemned. Like, you don't have that right to me.
Yes.
And those are the boundaries that we need to set.
Yeah. The that sermon that I watched, when she talked about that early in Leviticus, the priests, when they would go to the temple once a year for the Day of Atonement, I went and read the story this morning, and it reminded me like the hard things that the priests have to do and all that they have to be prepared for and ready for, and the things that they have to do to walk into the Holy of Holies. And in the event that they're not prepared, it could be death for them. Mm-hmm. And what she talked about was access. You can't give level 10 access to somebody who's got a level 3 responsibility. Mm-hmm. You got to measure that in your own life. Like the time management, boundaries, all of them go together. So what is, are you doing so much for somebody? I don't want to say so they don't appreciate it, because it's not about that, but could your time be spent more productively doing something else? Are you giving access to people that they haven't been that they can't be responsible for? Like they don't have that that level of responsibility. And it just kind of, when I was reading it, I was like, oh man, you don't think about yourself and your personal stuff like that. And we are yes people. You ask us, we're like, we'll make it work. We'll figure it out. And then we'll grumble about it, or we'll be like, we're so tired and overwhelmed. Oh, well, here's why. Because we've been yes people. We've said yes so many times.
It's also been pounded in my head since I was a little kid that if you can't do something right, do it yourself. So I've always been I don't know if this person can do it right, so I'm just going to do it.
Okay.
And before I know it, I've got a a 5-portion meal on a 3-course plate, and I'm buried, but I'm stressing and, trying to power through everything the whole time, frustrated, angry, and irritated by everything that I've said yes to, that I've taken control over. It can be overwhelming.
And like you said, and then the things that you let go, are your devotional. Now you're 5 days late on your devotional. And I'm speaking from experience. It would be, well, my husband can wait because he loves me and it's fine. He's not going to be mad at me. He's going to understand.
Right.
But and so that really is just, that's unfair to us, each other. It's unfair to the people that we're helping, really. We're giving them we're giving them more than we can handle, and they are not unaware of it. Because then what happens, you get mad at the person who keeps asking you to do things, as opposed to being mad at yourself for continuing to say yes. So now this person has asked me to do this every single week, and I just don't have time for it. So now I'm mad. So now I have feelings towards this person because they can't see that I'm busy and they keep asking me for stuff. When reality is, if we had just said, I would love to, but I don't have time.
Is there a reason you guys asked me to be a part of this one?
No.
I'm feeling slightly attacked right now.
No.
I'm just
No.
kidding. I'm just kidding. But the reality is, like you said, you have always done things yourself. And for me, in the position that I'm at, the Lord let me know if I try to do this all, like, I am buried. I can't do it. I just can't. So I've learned to ask for help. But with that, there's something, I don't know if it was Greg or Shut, like, I don't know who it was, but said, let other people mess up. Like, don't be the only one to make mistakes. Let other people make mistakes too. And that, like, stuck with me, because absolutely I make mistakes, but they're mine, right?
Yeah.
But when we entrust other people and ask other people, because we have to set boundaries for our time too, so that means you're not going to be able to handle everything, especially in leadership roles, which you're both in. Asking somebody else is one, open an opportunity for them.
Yep.
But also, you're going to have to trust them, and it's okay if people make mistakes, because we
Well,
do.
And mistake making is how you learn.
Absolutely.
I believe.
Yeah, definitely. And even, I've been a manager for my whole life that I can remember, and that's what I went to school for. And I see a variety of different, on a peer level, types of people. So you have the managers, you have, micromanagers, you have bosses, and then you have the leaders. And the leaders are the ones that are like, make a mistake, and then we're going to go from there. I'm going to pick you up and dust you off, and we're going to move forward. And I've able to do that in my job. In my personal life, not so much. I don't trust anybody to handle anything. I've been trying to give you the money in our house for like a year, but I have control issues. So it is, like you said, it's all about control. At work, I don't have any problem letting things fail or fall apart or whatever, because you're going to learn the greatest lessons that you're going to learn, and the greatest strength that you're going to get is by falling down and having to get back up, and what you're going to do in that process. In personal life, though, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's real tough. Like with your kids, and we know how to run our kids' lives.
Oh,
It's fine.
boundaries with kids is like a joke. Like, that is the worst thing. I can try to overcome all of it, but with kids, it's like, I have no boundaries. What do you need? What do you need? Why am I stressed out all the time? Because I will never say no.
Yeah.
But to them, they don't get a chance to fail. They don't get a chance to grow. They don't get a chance to learn, because we're owning all that.
Yeah.
That's not fair to them, and that's not where God's called us to be either.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Ooh. Because you just don't, you don't want to.
It's hard to watch your kids fail too, I think.
Yeah. Even think about them failing makes you,
Yeah.
Lord,
Stressed out.
please, Lord, please, please. And he's
Yeah.
like, just let them go. Let them ride the bike themselves. So when they fall down and scrape their knees, can I be the one to pick them up?
Yeah.
Instead of us trying to control to keep them safe and to keep them good. No, he's like, I want to be that in their life.
Yeah.
So can you let go okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's so tough, and I like this is silly but real. When it comes to my kids, the way he's helped me let go and let them do their own is in prayer. I have to be in prayer with him, and I envision him holding my hand and me putting my head on his shoulder, and he has it, and I know that he has it, but I have to stay in that moment with him, or I'm gonna be like, no, I'm gonna go running and save the world, and that's not what I meant to do, and I know that. And I know that he loves my children more than I do. Mm-hmm. But I also know that he's got to hold me back. So I'm in prayer immediately. Like, okay, God, here we are. I'm holding your hand, and you're gonna handle it, and I don't have to worry about it. But that's real life.
We both have older kids,
Yeah.
so let's put that out there.
Yeah.
We both have older kids that should be living their own lives, learning their own lessons.
Yes, they're all
handling
adults.
it all. Yep.
They're all adults. They're not like 5, and we're like, have fun. God's got you.
But that's actually where we should be teaching the kids the boundaries when they're younger. When you
Yes.
make a mistake, or when you aren't going to listen, or there's consequences to be had. I will speak for me. I didn't want them to feel those consequences because it would be negative, it would be bad, it would be hard. So I did everything in my power to control situations so they would not experience negative consequences.
Yeah.
And if they did, then guess who owned them? I did.
Yeah.
So I've taken all of that time that they could have been learning and growing from them.
Yeah.
When I was trying to help them. So mothers, beware, fathers too, possibly. You're not helping your kids when you're trying to spare them from
Yeah.
consequences and discipline. Right now, let them learn so they don't have to fall
Yeah.
when they get older.
Well, and Corey and I, when the boys were young, that's what we call. We're like, well, something would happen, and we'd be like, it was toxic soup. It was like all of these things that happened in the wrong circumstances at the wrong time and everything, and so of course this happened. So we justified not letting them fall. We justified it for ourselves, so that we were like, that's why we do what we do, because we're avoiding this. And in reality, while some avoidance probably is necessary in some circumstances, not all of it was. And we did. We pulled away the opportunity to learn. And now, as adults, they have to learn the things they should have already known.
Yeah, it's hindered them.
Yeah. Well, and I think that we all figure it out, right? I mean,
Eventually.
they all
When we
figure it
surrender
out.
to the Lord,
Yeah.
we figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he starts walking with us, or we start walking with him. He's always with us, but yeah.
Well, Corey, you said it earlier in a job perspective or whatever, that when we fail is when we learn the most. There's no different than, it's exactly the same in our spiritual walk. When I think about the lowest of lows, when I've fallen the hardest, went through the hardest times in my life, that's when I've experienced God the most. That's when I truly learned where he really was at and who I was. So if we take those falls away, how are they ever supposed to experience the
Right.
Lord's goodness and his helping hand that's there all the time?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true. And I'm going to flip it a little bit when we talk about boundaries in God. So you said full surrender. Sometimes I feel like we have a boundary in place to keep God out of that full surrender, because that's it's uncomfortable sometimes. Full surrender and obedience is uncomfortable. And so we're really good at creating that boundary to be like, no, I'm going in with you, but if you want me to go in deeper, I'm out on that one. I can't do that. You can have this portion of my heart, but if you want the whole thing, yeah, I don't know about that. And so I think we do that too. We create unnecessary boundaries out of fear and control, like you said. you know. So we're not creating the healthy boundaries, but we don't have any problems springing up the unhealthy ones.
You can have my time. You can have I'll be in your word, but I'm not giving you my heart.
Yeah.
Or I'll show up on Sundays and I'll give you this and I'll do this and I'll help people out and I'll serve, but you can't have my money. I'm controlling that. I'm the only one that has. And the reality is there's not anything that we have that's not already his.
Yeah.
That he's just waiting to bless us.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But that's,
You can see when people have that boundary around their heart, because the reality is they do. I can see it. But the greatest thing is when you can see people fully surrendering and you can see them break for Christ.
Yeah.
And they actually receive freedom like they've never received before. And they just, an overwhelming love. And you don't even have to question, like,
yeah.
you can look at somebody in their walk and be like, they've let it go. They've
Yeah.
let go of control and let him have their heart.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty, it's really incredible.
I was that guy with the money for the longest time. Like, no, this is my money. I've earned it. It's in my pocket. It's mine.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it was in the Dominican where I was like, I just reached in my pocket and gave them all my money. I didn't count it. I didn't have any idea how much I had in my pocket. It could have been hundreds. I don't even know. But I
It
just
didn't
reached
matter.
in and I gave it and I didn't care. I was like, there it is.
Yeah.
I didn't care. It was me surrendering that.
Yeah.
And it was really the first time I ever did it, and it felt so good.
Yeah.
It was so freeing to do that.
Free. Yeah. Yeah. And we put like, I don't even know. We put so much into controlling everything, and we don't want to put boundaries on people because we don't want to hurt on our relationships with people because we don't want to hurt them, or we don't want them to think negatively of us or whatever. We really don't have a problem putting a boundary on the guy who created us, the King of all kings, the universe. He created every inch of it, and we really more easily put a boundary on him than we do Aunt Nancy because she keeps calling us to weed her flower beds. That's, I don't like that thought.
When you put it that way.
Yeah. So what I've learned about boundaries is it's kind of understanding where our yard is and where another begins. And having a fence in that boundaries, but having a gate, because there's some things in us that we need to let out.
Yeah.
So you need to have that gate. And at some points, like you said, some people can gain access into those boundaries to have it open. So when you were saying that, I was picturing us having a block party. Everybody's inside the gates. Everybody's on our yard doing whatever they want to. And then there's Jesus standing outside the gates saying, you don't have room for me.
Yeah.
I can't get in.
Yeah.
Goop.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We get caught up in the work aspect of being a Christian. I've got to do, because we know what our mission is, right? It's the Great Commission. It's to make disciples who make disciples. That's what we got to do. We're aware of that. We get so caught up in the work part of it that we miss who God really is in that. Like he doesn't want us to force people's hands or work ourselves to the bone and go home and hate everything so that somebody else can see Christ through us, because then we're just, I don't want to say it's being a hypocrite, but if your heart isn't in it, if you're just doing the work, then, and you're not aligning with the Spirit and being, aligning with him and spending your quiet times with him, like that's been every Bible study for the last, 3 weeks. It's quiet time with God. Mm-hmm. You alone, quiet time with God. So if you're not doing that, all of your work doesn't matter. It's not going to be, will you produce fruit? You might sometimes, but what kind of fruit are you producing? What are you, if teach. I think I was talking to somebody about evangelism, and I was like, it's really cool, but I don't think I could ever do it because they travel around a lot of times, like the ones you know of. They go, they have this great service, people surrender, and they, whatever, and then they leave and they go somewhere else. Well, what about this person that just surrendered? Because this is really hard sometimes, and sometimes you need like a church. You need a family. You need a family to build you up and to pour into you, and you need those things. And that is like, it's just, I don't know. It's if we're just doing the work, we're not producing fruit that's going to produce fruit. So we're not discipling disciples who are going to make disciples if all we're doing is the work and not doing any of the heart work. And if we keep our boundary around our heart, we're not producing nothing.
Even with that, this is a conversation we had earlier. So awesome things are happening at the hub. It's just amazing. And with that comes growth, which is another blessing that we have been praying for transformation in people's lives to change and people to come that needs their chains broken. And that's happening. But with that comes more responsibility, and the Lord is rising up leaders like no other. And for me, I am getting like overwhelmed. And like you said, if we think of it as a work, like it is going to crush me. And that is where I'm like, Lord, I need help. Like, you are doing this and this is amazing, but man, I don't know how to handle this. Like, I did not know one more second of one more day. And it was like, when we were talking, it was like, this isn't work. Like, this is truly a privilege.
Yeah.
Like, this, is there a lot to it? And do we need to be, and I'm in my word and I am spending my time with him. But I can get going so fast at how I know how to do things that I try to do it in my flesh instead of just laying that flesh down and be like, I will move when you tell me to move and how to move it. And in the meantime, I need to be praising him and praising him. Otherwise, it becomes work and not a privilege. Like, we are privileged.
Yes.
To be a part of what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if we look at it that way instead of, holy smokes, how do I fit one more
thing on our plate?
And that's where boundaries and margin comes in. When we're scheduling to put margin in our schedule so we can actually breathe. And again, no one is going to do. You think somebody's going to come up to me and be like, I need to meet with you, but do you have margin this week? It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I have to do that.
Right.
Sit down with the Lord and create your schedule.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's worthy of doing. Sit down with God and create your schedule. Like, what do you need this to look like for me? And because, I mean, ideally, ultimately, for me, like, I don't want to let God down. I love being in my word. I like to talk. It's weird. I don't know. I love talking, but I love sharing, but also mostly because I like sharing my understanding of his word or the things that I'm receiving from him with others so that they have that in their pack for when they need to pull it out for later. I love all of that. But like you said, once it becomes like, I gotta work, you're missing the main part of it. You're missing the heart of it. And it is a privilege. Like, we are privileged. We're privileged to sit at this table and discuss it. Then we're not going to be murdered. I have the privilege of having a whole shelf full of different translations of Bibles. Some people can't have any, so we have that. You're being really quiet today, Corey.
I'm just learning.
You're learning.
I'm learning. Well, the kind of, I don't know if it's backpacking off that or whatever, but coming back from the Dominican, like, I've worked a lot of different jobs and been paid good money for some and terrible money for others. But the work that I did in the Dominican, I didn't get paid any money at all, but I felt more rich doing that than any job I've ever done for any amount of money.
Yeah.
Like, working for God was the best feeling ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then coming home and going back to a real job was like,
I'd rather work for free.
I'd rather work for free for God.
It wasn't even free. You had to pay quite a bit of money to go do that. The reality is thousands of dollars to go and do that.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. But I don't know. It's different.
It is. It definitely is different.
It's gratifying.
Yeah.
So each of us are in a leadership role within the church in one way or another. And as it grows, our roles are going to expand and our roles are going to have a lot more things. So we have to build teams, but that's one thing that we need to keep each other in check of, one, boundaries, but two, reminding each other of the privilege that it is. Like, we get to serve his body.
Yeah.
And I'm the first to say thanks for that reminder today, because otherwise I think that's a way that the enemy can absolutely take me under, because I do not want to fail God. So
Right.
I will do whatever in my flesh will take to do what he's called me to do, but I have to be reminded often that it's not my flesh he wants.
Yeah. Right.
It's literally just my time in loving him, and
Yeah.
In your heart.
it's my heart. So all of us just having that perspective of, we're serving the King.
Yeah.
We're serving the kingdom, and we get to be a part of something that is so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And being able to be honest about it is also a blessing. Like, we're serving together. So us being able to be like, "Oh, okay, I'm overwhelmed. I'm feeling this," and being able to be honest about it is also helpful, because if we can't talk about it with each other, and we can't lift each other up and give each other words of wisdom, or things that we've known from our own experiences, we're out on an island by ourselves, and that's not how it's meant to be.
And it's exactly where the enemy wants us.
Yeah, all alone, feeling like we can't do it all. There's just no way. But the reality is, if God asks us to do it, there's a way. Mm-hmm. But we have to let him do it. He doesn't do it. This week it was, in prayer to him, and he said, "You're not running a race. I'm not like go, 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 go. I don't have to look at 5 years down the road. I don't have to look at 5 days down the road. I'm going to focus on this 5 minutes that I'm in right now, and I'm going to learn from whatever I can, and I'm going to do whatever I can. But I got to quit putting so much pressure on myself to be more and do more, because he's going to lead me where I'm meant to go. And when I'm meant to know, and when it's supposed to be, that's what it'll be. But we put so much pressure on ourselves that nobody else needs to put pressure on us, because we're like, I'm not good enough. I can't do it all."
We try, though.
Yeah, we do try. Yeah, we do. You saying you want to quit your job and work for the Lord for free?
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone hear that?
Yeah.
You built the church in the Dominican, so he's a hard worker.
If I could sing, I would sing right now. He'll make a way where there is no way. But I can't, so let's pray.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The other part of boundaries that we didn't talk about is that when you've experienced trauma or things have happened in your life, we create unhealthy boundaries to protect our heart from heartbreak and hurt and the things that we don't want to endure anymore. So I'll just use us as an example, Corey, because we've been together a minute now. When you and I first got together, there was a lot of overcoming things that we had to do, both of us, because we brought our own baggage.
Yeah. A lot of it.
We brought our own stuff, and then we had to learn to lean and depend on each other, and kind of knock down some of the boundaries, like the walls and the things that we had built, because we were supposed to be together, but we sure acted separate for a while. I would say it probably wasn't until after we got married that we acted more like one person, as opposed to two separate people living one life. Now we became one person living one life. And so there's a lot of negative things that heart boundaries that had to be changed and filled. So that's the other part of it. Like, no, we are one person, but you don't get to, you don't treat me bad. I wouldn't know. But that was when that's a boundary that I have in place. You don't get to treat me bad. And remember me saying to you, if you're going to be mean to me, I don't remember why you were grouchy one day, but you got all snappy with me. And I was like, if you're going to be mean to me, you can't just one day be mean to me. You have to like ease me into it and get me used to it, because I am so used to you being so nice to me that when you're mean to me, it like hurts my.
I've spoiled you.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. But that's it. When we first got together, it was learning how to live life different, because we had, you know, the things of our past that we had to like overcome, and we had boundaries set up. Like I was like, I think we've been together 17 years, and I think it was this year that I said to you, do I let you love me the way that you want to love me? And your response was, I know what you like and what you don't like, so I just act accordingly. And I was like, and it hurt me, because it made me realize I've put a wall up and I created a boundary so strong that I only let you love me the way that I want you to love me. I don't allow you to love me the way that you want to love me, and that isn't unfair. But 17 years, you know, so we just carry so much stuff from the past, and some of it is to protect us, and some of it is necessary, but some of it isn't. Some of it is just because we're broken inside, and finding God and learning about. The reason I asked you that question was actually because I was doing heart work. God was doing heart work in me. And it was about, April gave a message, and she was like, how can God love you the way he wants to love you if you can't? How can you receive that, or how can you give that out if you don't love yourself like that? And I was like, I love myself. And that was the first indicator that I didn't actually love myself the way that I should have, or I needed to. And so then I started evaluating things like, does Corey get to love me the way he needs to love me? You need to love me in a different way than I need to love you. We joke about it, but we have 2 blankets in bed. You're over here, I'm over there. We have 2 blankets.
Now we're getting into bedroom talk.
Yeah.
This is a different podcast.
Yeah, but like that, and I'm like, stay out of my yard. That will be my conversation sometimes. Don't come in my yard. I'm having a bad day or whatever, you know. And that's unfair to you, really. That's an unfair boundary that I'm placing upon you. I'm restricting your love for me by putting that boundary in place. So that isn't healthy either. Man, I got a lot of unhealthy boundaries.
Does this mean we're going back to one blanket?
No, never. No, because you think it needs to be the Arctic in there. And I would like a nice tropical evening. So I need my own blanket. So, but yeah, I think that even in our personal relationships and our loving relationships, we create boundaries, and we might not even realize that we've got boundaries in place that are unhealthy for our partners or for our family. Like we just talked about children. It's the same. We sure need God, you know. Good thing we got him to guide us.
The other flip aspect of that is having no boundaries whatsoever.
Yes.
Because of the trauma that you've been through, you have no boundaries, because you never have a no. You never have a line that you can draw, because you just want to be open and available for everything.
Yes.
And place everything on yourself. And that can be...
Toxic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't even blame the other people because you haven't set the boundaries.
Right.
So, yeah, it can be the other way too. You're not responsible for other people's feelings.
No.
But you are responsible to love them well and let them love you.
Yeah. Absolutely. And also, you know, learning how to place healthy boundaries. It takes an active role. I mean, you know, it's probably a hard thing. I'm assuming it's very hard to do, which is why we haven't done it.
Yeah.
It's not a
Makes sense.
feel-good thing by any means, but it's absolutely freeing. And you really do, and it sounds stupid, but then you really do sit back and was like, oh my gosh, like you can breathe and people are okay and I'm okay. And that feels so good.
Yeah.
There's a reason that we fight so hard against it because it's so important in the health of who we are.
Yeah. And what we're doing. I mean, his mission for us, we can't do that if we're not healthy. If we're bogged down with unfree things.
There is a book, actually there's several books on boundaries, but the one that has been so helpful and actually can be a small group too. It's called Boundaries, When to Say Yes, How to Say No to Take Control of Your Life. And it's by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. And they have boundaries. Just that book alone is amazing, but they also have Boundaries in Marriage, and that's a small group workbook too. They have Boundaries for Children. It's awesome. Boundaries for adult children. And I definitely suggest checking that out. They have it on Audible for anyone like me. But it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, we need it. That's our husband and wife devotional boundaries. Work boundaries. Quit our jobs.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Just kidding. We can't quit our jobs.
Sure want to.
Well, yeah. You also want to eat a nice, filling, full dinner every night, but you don't do that either. Okay.
Well, we gonna expand more today, or are we gonna? I guess we could, like you said, we just scratched the surface today. We can take this topic and put it at a later date, dive deeper.
I think we could also we could section it out. We could become professors and be like, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, seminar 14.
To be continued.
Or we could set a boundary and say, do your own homework.
Yeah.
We gave you the basis. Get in your word.
I love
There's
it.
stuff to educate yourself. And
Absolutely. I love it. It's perfect.
sorry.
Set your own boundaries. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us again. Thank you for responding on the Facebook page. We feel free to give us any comments, questions, and topics, and we look forward to talking to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.